just want to make a quick video. I was looking around and about blend door actuators on E150 vans. This is a 2005, I believe, E150 van, fairly low options. It's got air conditioning. Anyways, what I'm seeing is guys talking about how if you don't have any air coming, like your vents aren't changing, they're talking about this air door actuator on the side down in here. Can't really see, I've got the cover off the heater box, but there is a electric actuator up in here. It's a white plastic box. There it is right there. You can kind of see it. Yeah, right there. That is your blend door air actuator. That has nothing, that's temperature control, has nothing to do with which vents in the dash open up. So this particular unit, you can hear the fan motor running really well. The speed control on the fan motor works, but it doesn't change modes. So it doesn't blow air out. You can't change it to your dash vents or defrost vents. Anyway, just because I have this open, I'm trying to just diagnose the problem, and I thought that maybe the blend air door actuator was underneath this heater box cover. My mistake, I shouldn't have taken it apart, but since I have it apart, I want to show you guys what it looks like. Let's see when it's working. See up inside there. Okay, so I don't know if you saw that door close. No, there we go. So I'm just moving the temperature to hot. That's hot, so it's forcing more air through the heater core. And when I move it to cold, it opens up and lets more fresh air in. So now I've got to find the the mode door actuator. So when you're diagnosing a problem like this, that's what you're going to want to find out. Turn that heater off. You're going to want to find out, because here's your controller. So maybe it's the controller, I don't know. But the actuator is what you got to find and check and make sure it's got power and see if it's turning when you change the modes. So I'm going to continue on diagnosing this, and I'm going to find out where the mode actuator is, and then I'll continue with the video and show you what that is. All right, so I forgot about the setup in this particular van. So what you got is this access cover on the dash here that you can pull out, which is kind of nice that they did that. And then you can see your vacuum actuator. So this is a vacuum actuator setup. It's behind this control right here. So we want to start the vehicle. See the actuators move when I change it to another mode. So that's off. That's floor. Maybe we do have a problem with the control. Okay, that's defrost. Nothing's really coming out of the vents though. That's mix. That's floor. That's off. That's vent. That's air conditioning, so that's going to be blend air door, not one of these actuators. Maximum is going to be recirculation door is opening on it. I know that's working. That's recirc door closed, so that's normal AC. Vent is going to be the same. Okay, off. Floor. Mix. Oh, there we go. Mix and defrost again. But I'm not getting much air coming out of the vents. I can hardly even feel it. So this doesn't have a cab air filter in it, or a cabin air filter, a fresh air filter. And I'll just show you down here. There's the fresh air door there. Recirculation door, and it's also vacuum operated. I'll just show you how it works here. blowing good. I opened it up and I could see the blower motor when you open that fresh air vent up. It's spinning. I don't know if it needs a blower motor, but I'm gonna have to go probably pull the heater motor out and just have a look and see if there's some passageways clogged up with leaves or something that's gotten in through the cowl. Further diagnosis, like I said, I could see the fan turning and you can hear it, but I didn't notice until I just took the battery out so I could get at the fan blower motor and see something wrong with that. Can you spot the problem? So this is the first time I've seen this, but one of the culprits may be if this has been replaced. It's very tough to get the fan off the blower motor and put it on your new blower motor, because oftentimes they don't come with the fan. It's tough to do that without damaging it. I don't know if that's what happened here or not, but all the pieces of the fan are in the airbox. Now I got to see if I can get a blower motor for this thing and replace that. So it's a little bit of work to diagnose it. It wasn't what I thought the problem would be, but I'm seeing quite a few videos about this. The reason why lots of posts on forums too, and the reason why you can see the fresh air door in there, one of the doors. The reason why I'm making this video is because I didn't see a lot of confirmed fixes of what was wrong. Now this probably isn't what you're going to find if your heater motor isn't blowing really well. It could be the heater blower motor or the fan. It could be a failed fan like this one, I guess, but this isn't. I don't think this is very common. Well, the reason why I took this apart is you can just barely see in there. So I can get you in there and show you behind the broken fan pieces. See the evaporator core for the air conditioning is inside there. The reason why I took the blower motor out is because I was going to blow that out with compressed air instead of evacuating the system, and you have to take the dryer and stuff like that out of this model of van and then pull that evaporator core out of the heater box in this area here, like underneath the hood. So I've already got the battery tray out. You got to take some stuff out just to get this far. So I was going to just take a blowgun and blow out if there was leaves or anything in there, or vacuum out any leaves that were in this area, but I was going to blow air out through there and it should come out back up through your ducts here, and just see how, I still might do that and just see how dirty it is. But if you don't have any airflow, it could be a problem like this with a failed fan, or it could be a clogged up evaporator core for your air conditioning system, and all the air, as you can see through the design of the airbox, all the air has to go through the evaporator core on these. So if that's clogged up, I got to fish all those broken fan blades out of there, because that's obviously clogging up. But anyways, if that's clogged up and you do have a good fan and your blower motor is working well, everything else is working, you could have a clog, like it could just be clogged with leaves or dust or whatever, and you got to get in there and blow it out and hope that works, or else you're going to have to evacuate your AC system and take the evaporator core out, clean it, and then put it back in and recharge your AC system. So I've got the old fan, what was left of the old fan blower off. It was on here, so the only thing you have to be careful of is just your clearance here, where your blades, you don't want your blades hitting the housing, of course, because as you can see, there is a stop there, but I don't think that it might stop that the fan from going too deep. You just want to try to put it at the same depth the old one was. To get the old one off, these things can be really tough to get off. I've just sprayed some oil on this, so that's why it looks wet. The bearing looks good, so at this time just inspect your blower motor. I didn't see any reason to replace it. This particular unit isn't going to be in the fleet much longer, so I'm not going to buy a bunch of new parts for it. Here's the new fan that I'm going to be putting on. But you've got to take off this keeper type thing first. You just pry it off with a screwdriver that goes on that holds the fan on. Stops it from coming off, I should say. And this shaft was rusty. I just cleaned it up with a little piece of emery cloth here. But what I did to get the old one off is I just heated this with like a soldering torch until it started to melt the plastic, and then it just popped right off. But they can be tough going off and on. So clean all the rust off, clean it up good. I put some oil on it. And this one, yeah, so this one just slided right on, but most of the time I find that you've got to kind of tap them on somehow, like just maybe get a socket and just be careful tapping it on, and make sure when you do that you know you're not going to be breaking anything on the back of the motor when you're hitting this shaft. So anyways, I'm glad that this one went on easy. I'm just gonna, okay, yeah, so I can just put that keeper on with my hand, but if these keepers are tight, just take a socket like this and just gently tap it on. So it looks like the shaft actually stops it from going too far onto the fan body and hitting the housing here. You don't want any contact there, of course. So you just want to be careful of the depth if it doesn't have a depth stop there. Now I'm gonna install it into the vehicle, and I think one of the reasons why possible reason why the other one may have broke if it had been replaced. I don't think it has ever been replaced, but sometimes you just have to kind of bend things, and when you push it in, you can see that there's some stuff in the way here. But just make sure you don't crack the fan blades while you're pushing it in. I might have to unbolt this evaporator or this dryer for the air conditioning here. It's just so I can push that past it, because the last thing you want to do is start fracturing these. And I think the hot cold cycles is what broke the other one apart and busted all the pieces off. I can show you what it looked like. Here it is here. See it when it melted it. See, it's got that piece of paper towel stuck to it, but you can see the blades all broke right off of it. I think this is the one from the factory though, and it was likely just all the hot cold cycles made the plastic brittle and it just broke off. But anyways, yeah, you can see why it wasn't blowing any air. No fan, no blades at all left on that. So while you're at it, when you have this out, it's a good idea to see if you've got any debris down in here. I did see some needles and a little bit of leaves in there, and just get in there with a vacuum, suck that out. And I used compressed air and I blew the dust and things out of the evaporator core the best I could. And then you might see some stuff come out of here, and you might want to take your wipers off and take this cowl off if you've got a lot of debris in there, and just see if you can clean out the air intakes for your heater motor. So with that, I'm gonna stick this back in, and I've got to change the speed control switch. You've got to take the battery tray out. I've got it out there. Battery sitting on the bench. Then this will come right out with what is it, four little screws that go in here that are 8mm heads on them. And then of course make sure you connect your little tube on the bottom here to this rubber hose here, and you're good to go. Your electrical connection. So it's pretty easy access to get this out of here. You know, just pop the battery out in the battery tray and away you go. So I'm going to put it in and, like I say, change the switch and we'll be good to go. So I did have to just take 2 bolts out of this receiver dryer here for the AC system. Once you do that, you can just pull this back enough. The flat side of the blower motor right there will be facing that way. It'll give you enough clearance just to pop it right back in again. And it would be the same thing if you're removing your heater core. You'd probably have to not break that fan off. I mean, if it's an old one and the fan's broken already, I guess you don't have to worry about it. But to go in, you're going to have to move this anyway. This receiver dryer. It's just two bolts, 8mm heads on those as well. So and then you just turn it so the flat part's on the bottom there of your fan housing. Hook up your tube there, and it's got some dowels that it hangs on super easy. And then just put your 8mm head hardware back in. I think there's 4 of these that hold it in there, and then you can slap the battery back in. So this is all back together here again. So to get the dash off, all you have to do is pry in here. Do it on this side because there's not as much holding it over here. Pry it off, it's just held in with clips. There are 2, I believe they're 6mm bolts in here. 6 or 7mm, let me see, let me tell you for sure. So it's not so annoying when you go to 7mm heads on the ones in here, 7mm heads on the ones. Once you get this pulled back enough, you can take the 2 out in here. That'll give you enough room to pull this dash trim panel back. The radio headset's going to come with it, so you're going to unplug your antenna wire. Make sure you don't forget to plug that back in when you're going back together. Then this whole piece, this is all one piece of plastic kind of back there, a module sort of thing, but you can take the switches out independently in the controller. So the back of this on this part of it has a 1/4" head screw. Figure that one out. Everything else is metric, and that one's a 1/4, and a 7mm, a 6mm will not fit it. and then you have to buy your knob. If the knob has broken off the switch like this one had, you have to order that separate from the switch. So I replaced the switch and this because the operator had been using pliers to turn the switch on and off because this plastic knob was missing. Now, where are my keys? Now we can hear it. We could hear the fan motor running before, but now it actually blows air. It's on defrost right now. I don't know if it has enough vacuum left in there to go to the vent to change over. I'll have to start it up to do that. But anyways, now it's blowing air like it should. It's working really well. Heater controller works, so we know the resistor and everything's good. So that's how you can take care of that particular problem. If you have no air blowing, like I say, this is your controller. So if you're having problems with modes, if the heater motor is blowing but it's not changing modes from dash to defrost, this is what controls it. And vacuum actuators, like I showed you, it has nothing to do with your blend air door down there underneath the seat. So I did have to check that, but it's working fine. There's no problems with temperature variation in this unit, and that would be that actuator down there in the heater control box. So if you have mode problems, you either have a vacuum problem, or else you could have a blower motor problem or clogged. You check your airflow as well, make sure it's flowing a lot of air, and then just take your panel off the top there like I showed you and check your different modes to see if the doors are turning. If they are, then you know you have another problem. All right, I hope that helps somebody with this particular problem. I thought it was kind of an interesting one. Not too hard to diagnose, but just took you through the diagnostic process there if it happens, because I didn't find any videos on this particular model and problem. So I want to thank all my new subscribers for subscribing. The channel is still growing, and I'm really happy to see that. Please, if you like and subscribe if you enjoy these types of videos, and there'll be more coming up.